Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super Fantify. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fiction genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Mecha-Ude, Mechanical Arms, Season 1, Episode 7. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, I love where basically Arms has sent reinforcements to keep an eye on Hikaru and Alma, because even though you have Aki being very protective, be like, no, this is my gig. They're like, yes, but you too busy going off on your own. Like, you don't cooperate with the organization like you're supposed to. And Hikaru's friends see them being accosted and like, what should we do? So they try to like act like support. It's like, hey, you gotta give it up to them for like having their back. I mean, I don't know in what retrospect, like, what way do they plan on keeping an eye on Hikaru? Because it's like, Aki has the best chance, considering, like, well, she's in the same school as him. Because they're not in the same class, but they are in this... No, yeah, they actually are in the same class. I forgot, right. That was the whole point of, like, episode 1's ending. Right. But yeah, like, they're literally in the same class, go to the same school. You two, you're just like, oh, we're dressing very inconspicuous or whatever. And it's like, no, you're not. You're standing out like sore thumbs. It's like, of course his friends are going to be super suspicious of you and stuff. But yeah, also dealing with, like, the guy they fought in the first episode. He's back. And that might have actually been episode 2 as well. But yeah, he was in episode 1 and episode 2. He's back. He lost his Mecha-Ude, and now he's acting as job security. I don't know if he was specifically sitting there because it's like, oh, I got to be nearby the school or something. But yeah, he gets called over, but Hikaru and Aki get away, but some of his other associates show up. One guy's just kind of got that very, like, I'm always a fan of that trope of character, like, man, I kind of don't want to do this, whether it's like a Shikamaru, whether it's a McBurn from Trails of Cold Steel, the very, like, oh, yeah, man, do I really have to do this? Because him, it's like, oh, man, I did as much work for my paycheck, so let's bounce. Because there's the new dude who has... security guard guys, Mecha-Ude, but that whole thing just ended up being a shambles. It's like, it wasn't even a serious fight. It's just like, all we had was like Aki dusting it up a little bit with the woman who has like the eye patch, who's like, hers like fires like little laser bullets, and Aki like tossing security guy into her. So like, that's about it, and it's just like, cool, they all get hog-tied and just like left. But the main crux of this episode revolves around Alma. Ever since last episode, he's been slowly getting his memories back. Now, does he remember everything? That's unclear. It kind of seems like he does. You know, I'm sure he remembers everything pre-coming to this world, but definitely everything associated with this world in Yakumo. He remembers, so, and that's why he wants to kind of distance himself from Alma. I mean, Alma wants to distance himself from Hikaru because it's like, I don't want to endanger you, especially because Hikaru was like, yo, like, I promise I'd stay by your side till your memories come back. It's like, well, my memories have come back, so our contract is done. It's just like, all right, I don't want more innocent blood on my hand, because he blames himself for what happened to Yakumo, but he's ignoring part of the equation. Because it's something he's paid attention to before, but he's falling short in this capacity. It's the whole element of being there for people even when they push you away. He's so determined about, like, right, I don't want you involved. I'm making this unilateral decision. He's not taking the time to care about, right, Yakumo made his choice in the past, and you disregarding that now, and like Hikaru wanting to help you out. Like, I get you want to protect him, but you're being dismissive of his feelings, and I think Alma's so scared, and he's letting that fear take control of him. He runs off on his own, and typically he wouldn't be able to go far on his own, but apparently we find out apparently because he had lost like his memories, now that he remembers everything, he unlocked what was kind of a secret ability that I guess maybe he's like the only one who has this. Maybe there's a select few. I guess because he's their trigger arm, maybe he's the only one that has this capability, but he can supply his own arbitrium, so he doesn't need to be like connected to a host like Hikaru, whereas prior he did. So I guess basically with his memories being gone and his memories now coming back, he now has the knowledge of, oh, I don't need a human host. I can I do have the ability to like connect myself arbitrium wise. To be fair, when him and Yakumo met, he was already he was in a cube form, but then he got active. He was already activated when Yakumo got stuck underneath that rubble in that cave in. So I don't know, some interesting stuff on that front, but Hikaru's being told he's not needed anymore now that it's like, right, you get to go back to your normal everyday life. But Hikaru is like, whoa, you're just gonna like kick me to the curb because that Doc dude is like, oh, isn't this what you wanted? But it's like, no, I'm in this. I want to help, and I'm not gonna just walk away now knowing the truth about all this. But in this episode, like Alma's brother tells him the truth of what happened. Basically, like in their world, it's like, right, they were running low on their energy source, and so they went to go find Aldera, who could be like kind of their savior, but they got deactivated. They ran out of energy before they could get there, and they found their way to this world. Like, I don't know what, like, they never really clarify what actually took them from their world to this world, but yeah, they ended up in the, well, at least one or two of them, because it was Alma, his brother, and maybe like a few others or whatever came here, but Yakumo ended up finding him, and the brother, interestingly enough, got connected to Yakumo's brother. What was it? Tsukihito, maybe, I think it was. But yeah, which is interesting. So the parallels of like, hey, these Mecha-Ude brothers connected to actual brothers, and because Tsukihito was actually the head of the family because he was the older brother, so there's a parallel between Jun and his older brother. Granted, obviously, like, Yakumo like definitely has more of Hikaru's personality than Jun's. So, but also, who knows, like, what kind of personality Jun would have outside of like what the Kagami family is now versus what it potentially was. I mean, to be fair, we never really got a lot of insight into Yakumo and Tsukihito's like relationship, like dynamic wise and stuff. But the older brother seemed ambitious, like Jun's brother is, but it probably didn't seem as evil villainy. It's like, right, they all had the purpose of finding Aldera and kind of activating it, because they're hoping that by activating it they can find a solution for probably get them back to their world, but also find a solution that will deal with their energy crisis. And so, but basically what ends up happening is Aldera, like, even though they had run tests before, something went wrong in this instance. So I wonder, is it supposed to be something kind of like Amaryllis? Like, I mean, once again, we don't know how much of that story was true of like what happened. Like, was Amaryllis perfectly fine and then interacted with Fubuki's and like ended up losing itself? Like, who knows, right? Like, it's an unreliable narrative, narrator, obviously. But either way, Aldera ended up activating, and it kind of attacked everyone. And Yakumo and Alma tried to deal with it. You know, I mean, I don't know if that's the first time I would assume that's not the first time in battle, considering how proficient Yakumo was. Like, causing that upheaval in the ground and using the ground pieces to kind of jump off. Kind of reminds me of like the first bit of the final boss fight in Kingdom Hearts 2, when Sora, like, the skyscraper reaction commands where like Sora is literally slicing buildings in half and then hopping off of them, like that. It kind of gave me that same energy. But yeah, they attacked Aldera, but it ended up like being blowback. So it transformed, because it was like a giant hand at first, like a Mecha-Ude, but then like it changed into the shape that it's in currently, kind of like, I guess, supposed to be a gate of some sort. But Yakumo ended up dying. I don't know if everyone else in that area is still alive and just unconscious, or whether everyone died in that moment. I'd assume not, but, you know, because I'd assume, like, right, you need more people for the Kagamis to keep going. So his brother had to have survived and eventually had children. So that would, you know, kind of imply like they've all got to be direct descendants of, well, who knows? Like, direct might not be the right word. I mean, you know, like Jun and him might be more direct descendants of like Tsukihito. Because something I forgot to talk about was like another reason why it wasn't just about helping the Mecha-Udes. It was also about helping out Tsukihito, because he was sick. Which does, interestingly enough, play into like, all right, because like Jun seems to naturally have like a weak constitution, so maybe that's something that exists, like an illness exists in their bloodline, and just Jun unfortunately ended up having it. So I didn't even think about that till just now. So, which, speaking of Jun, he runs into Alma and he tries to like de-riz with him, but it's like it doesn't work. I guess because he's still, well, maybe either because of the state he's in right now, it's a trigger arm being able to kind of sustain himself, so it doesn't happen, or maybe because he's technically still de-rizzed to Hikaru, even though it's like even though it's to the coat, it's still like mentally and emotionally you're tied to Hikaru, so it's not going to work. Because June is like, Ouroboros is in bad shape right now, so he can't use it, and it's frustrating for him because it's, home dude is like, oh, why don't you go see your brother? He's like, no, I'm not going to show my brother my weakness like right now. I can't be in front of my brother like this. I've shown him my weakness too much, and once again, we haven't really gotten into what that is. We just know, like, last episode, they kind of covered, like, a conversation he had with last episode, he had a conversation with his brother, like in the past, where he was like, yeah, I'm going to take a step back. I don't want to be a burden to you. Like, I don't know whether it's like he believed in his brother wholeheartedly, and maybe he found out how his brother really felt, and he was kind of like, oh, my brother? Oh, he really thinks he's better than me? It's like, fine, I'm going to show him up. Like, I don't know where that comes from, where he's like, he doesn't want to show his weakness in front of his brother because maybe he feels like he's a failure as a Kagami. If that's the case, I don't know. But yeah, he's with Alma, and Alma ends up calling Hikaru and telling him, like, right, you are a kind person, but I don't want you mixed up in all of this. Thank you for everything. And Hikaru feels dejected because he's like, right, I thought Alma needed me, but if anything, I needed him. Because he has had a great impact on Hikaru. I think Hikaru has kind of become more of who he wants to be, versus, like, he's always kind of wanted to be someone, I guess, a little braver, a little willing to step out there on the ledge, and he hasn't been that person until he met Alma. Alma, I think for him, he's like, it made me braver than I normally would be. And so he's feeling a little dejected, but Aki, in true shonen fashion, has to punch him and be like, yo, get your shit together. But it's like, she understands. She's like, Alma is someone that's stuck in the past. She's like, I know it because, as we've seen the past 2 episodes, like, well, I mean, not just the past 2 episodes, but she's someone that was controlled from the past, and it's like he refuses to move on. And for her, it's like, my job is to look after not only you, Hikaru, not only Alma, but Hikaru too. So it's like, you guys are a package deal, At the very least, you need to kind of go tell, like, him how you're feeling. And for Hikaru, it's like, right, I got to get on my partner's case about him just kind of like leaving without kind of getting his partner's permission, because Hikaru thinks about everything that they've been through, and it's just kind of like, right. But we see by the end of the episode, Alma gets picked up by home dude who's with June. He's like, oh, playtime's over. So once again, what is his vested interest is just with what Kagami's doing, or does he have some plot too? Because we do also have that person that Amaryllis was working with. I wonder, we're going to find out, like, Yakumo is still alive and some other Mecha-Ude is taking over him. Like, maybe some portion of the Alder, like, possessed his dead body. Maybe it has something to do with Tsukihito. But, like, they went out of their way to not show us who that person was that Amaryllis was talking to last episode. So we'll have to wait to see. But I'm interested to see where the next episode takes us. Maybe this will give us a better insight into besides finding their way to the Mecha-Ude world and probably being able to, like, bend all the Mecha-Udes to their benefit, like what Kagami wants in the long run, what the brother ambition is. Maybe this isn't just his ambition. Like, maybe ever since the Mecha-Udes came to this world, it's always been a Kagami, like, position of trying to use Altera to because Alma's always been around, but he's never been activated post Yakuma's death, because that's like the last thing he saw was Yakuma dying, and I guess subconsciously his memories, maybe because of the state he was in, maybe it's kind of like similar to the Dan to Dan episode that came out this week, of just kind of like trauma blocking out memories and stuff type of thing. Maybe it is a thing of Yakuma dying and blaming yourself that you blocked your own memory subconsciously, maybe. Or maybe it was just like the state you were in post your fight, all that just contributed to it. But he never activated it again until, like, I guess he felt a similar energy in, because even Hikaru was like, oh, can't be, even I'm not good enough to be like Yakumo's replacement. But it's like, yeah, you have that same spirit in you, and I think that pushes Alma even more to push Hikaru away. But either way, like I said, we'll have to wait to see where the next episode takes us with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.